Today we have a special guest joining us, Matt Mason, Chief Content Officer for PalmNFT Studios. And they recently released the Cowl NFTs. Now you're going to want to catch this interview so we can give you a feel for what PalmNFT Studios is doing with DC and some of what's coming up with their partnership with DC and their plans for the Cowls and other DC interviews. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. And if you like money and crypto and you're looking for a real investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family. Special note, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, and I do own or plan to own most of what I talk about on this channel because I don't talk about crypto and NFT projects I don't believe in. Shout out to our Patreon members. We want to thank you. Now make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show. DrOfStuff is joining me as co-host today. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Matt, so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Jay. Appreciate it.
Yes, we're really excited to take a deeper dive into PalmNFT Studios. And I know we have a short time frame, so let's jump right in. So the audience has a better understanding. Could you share with us your background professionally and in crypto?
Yeah, sure thing. I've been a fan of distributed technology since I was a kid. I grew up in London. I was a pirate radio DJ involved in the early dubstep scene. Pirate radio to me was how I fell in love with distributed technology. This is something that still happens in London today. There's lots of kids illegally broadcasting, homemade radio stations, and it's how all these new forms of music and all these new forms of creativity happen, not just in London, but across the UK and Europe and the world. Actually, it's a really interesting phenomenon. But doing that as a kid made me understand the sort of importance of having creativity at the edges of things. I wrote books on this. I founded a music magazine that was really the proponent of things like rhyme and dubstep. But I was really interested in the infrastructure, like how do you scale this creativity? And once I got sort of into the internet and saw that it was really the same idea, I ended up working at a company called BitTorrent, some of you might know, which was still probably the largest, most scaled up example of distributed technology in the world. Billions of users globally. I ran marketing and content there and built a way for artists and creators to legally distribute their work through BitTorrent using that technology. After BitTorrent, I ran a studio for Sony Pictures, an innovation lab there out of Los Angeles. I was CMO at Kraken, the crypto exchange, which is where I really sort of cut my teeth more in crypto, and then started as I was the first employee at PalmNFT Studio just over a year ago now, which has been the craziest ride of my life, like everybody in the NFT space.
Now, DrOfStuff and I hadn't heard of PalmNFT Studios prior to a couple of weeks ago. We did participate in the drop that happened for the DC comic stuff like a couple months ago, but we didn't really know what was going on other than some free DC comic NFTs, and we even covered it. We didn't know anything about PalmNFT Studios, but as we were researching, we were really impressed. Could you share with the audience more about PalmNFT Studios and who's running it?
Yeah, so PalmNFT Studio is a new company. We're about a year old. There's a couple of things that we do. We help stand up the Palm Network, which is a new network on Ethereum designed specifically for NFTs and for creativity on the blockchain. You've got a lot of really cool platforms running on the Palm Network already. Platforms like Candy Digital, which is the home of Major League Baseball NFTs, among other amazing projects that they're working on. You've got platforms like nifties.com, which is where the Matrix drop happened, and Pace Gallery, one of the largest art galleries in the world, has their platform Pace Verso for fine art running on Palm. You've got Portion, one of the oldest crypto and NFT one of the oldest NFT marketplaces out there, running on Palm, and lots of other marketplaces getting up and running and integrated very, very shortly. So it's one of the fastest growing blockchains. We actually just hit we're now one of the top 10 blockchains in the world in terms of sales volume, which we just saw. We've got over 2 million unique NFTs or tokens on the network, and just over 1 million wallets, I think, across the network. So, we've been growing fast, but we've been very low key just in terms of how we did things over the first year. We launched with Damien Hirst, the currency project, which did, I think, 600 million in volume in its first 2 months, right on a platform called Henny, which runs on Palm. We've got some amazing other street artists like JR and Mad C, as well as other drops from Damien Hirst happening there. The founder of Henny is one of the co-founders of Palm, a guy called Joe Haig, who's Damien Hirst's business partner. The other founders are Dan Heyman, who is the CEO. Dan was the general manager of protocols at Consensus, which is the largest pure play blockchain company in the world. Consensus is also a co-founder of Palm. Joe Lubin, who runs Consensus, is one of the co-founders of Ethereum. And then Dan's brother happens to be the third highest grossing film producer in the world, a guy called David Heyman, who produced all the Harry Potter films, has a super close relationship with Warner Brothers, which is one of the reasons we ended up working with DC as closely as we have been. So you've got this amazing team, incredible technologists. Our CTO, Meredith Baxter, was NETH 1 and is NETH 2 core dev. Has just brilliant minds on the technological side. And then we've got an amazing creative team as well, led by a woman called Straith Schrader, who was the head creative at Vice before joining Palm, and worked at BitTorrent as well back in the day. So we've really got just some amazing people, amazing technology, and we think it's the right time for really scaling NFTs and bringing the magic of Web3 to billions of people. So you're going to see a lot more marketing from Palm, a lot more awareness driving from us on the network side and the studio side in the coming months. But year one, we wanted to do a few big projects, kind of prove that we could do what we set out to do before really ramping things up. And that's the year we're going into now.
Yeah, that really helps understand who's behind this, because we saw that Bat Cowls releasing. We're like, hey, these are pretty cool. PalmNFT Studios, we don't really know who they are. And if we did some research, but if we had known, we probably would have bought a lot more. Though DrOfStuff and I came to the conclusion we really like this project, and we did buy a lot. So we probably would have bought even more. So now my first thoughts, though, is that there was 200,000 of them at $300 a piece, and I didn't know who PalmNFT Studios was. I was like, that's going to flood the NFT market for where the NFT market was at. And generally, the NFT market has been a little slow at present. And even a month ago when this launched, and I was like, the long-term value of them is going to be minimal at 200,000. But then some stuff was vetted. Some people asked you some questions like, what are you going to do if less than that sell? And you're like, we are 100% committed to this project and making this work. And if only those sell, then those are the ones that are going forward. And at that point, DrOfStuff and I bought some more. What was your thoughts, Doctor?
Well, absolutely right. We discussed that, and I just said, look, 200,000, that's just too much. Like for anything, if you look at just in the NFT world in general, your typical mint size, if you're doing like the PFP projects, or 10,000. One of the biggest ones that I participated in was this project, the Seekers, which they had potentially up to 60,000. And so I heard 200,000, and like, to be honest, right? Like I didn't know anything at the time. I just saw those numbers. I said, that just sounds like a money grab. Like, hey, someone's getting in. They just want to throw out some NFTs to people. But we discussed about this. But as I looked at what you were offering for a Bat Cowl owner, I said, man, you know what? Like, even at 200,000, like at this point, I'm in it for the experience. So I'm just going to get one for the experience, because this just sounds phenomenal. I'm a huge Batman fan. Got like a Jim Lee variant on that side. But anyways, but then as we started to hear more about the purpose behind the 200,000, you really were just trying to offer it up to a wide audience to try to just get as many people as possible to experience. Batman has hundreds of millions of fans across the world, right? And so it's just like, okay, throwing out 200,000, and especially tying that into how many people got those discs for free during DC fandom. So like that started to make more sense to me. Like, okay, like this isn't a money grab. It really was trying to benefit. And at the end of the day, you just said however many are minted. Yeah. And when we started to see how many were minted before the close, that's when I called up Brain and I said, hey, like first I was in it just for this experience, but as I'm learning more about it, these different districts, that you could potentially be in, I said, I want more. I think you should buy more. Let's do a video. You should do a video and try to tell people about this. And so we did, Rain did a great little video just saying, hey, here are my thoughts on this project. So, and then on top of that, once I bought the Cowls and that minting process, like just like the graphics, right, the animation of that box, I was just like so pumped. Like that was just done so well, and part of that whole experience. And so I got 6 Cowls myself. I wish I could have got more, even now, but I'm hoping. Yeah. So here's a couple of my Cowls here.
You have that super cool Magneto looking one.
Yeah, man. And this this material here is so epic. So I got these Cowls. I'm really hoping that Jim Lee is gonna want to trade me his for one of mine. We'll see if that happens, right? But no, like, so at the end of the day, that was my thoughts on this. As I talked to Rain, I just said this is something that we need to try to tell as many people about as possible, as we just learned more about kind of the roadmap.
Yeah, well, look, it was interesting. The Matrix drop that Warner Brothers did 100,000.
But that's true.
So Warner said to us, look, Batman is it's a much larger franchise. We don't want to leave anybody out. We want to create this amazing experience. It needs to be, the gold standard in terms of fan experience and NFTs. It needs to have a high price point because we want to deliver on this no matter how many we sell, but we don't want to leave anybody out. And so that was where the sort of 200,000 as the maximum we would mint came from. But yeah, we were very clear, internally with the team at DC and at Palm, and tried to be with fans from the start. Like, however many we mint, it's getting minted, and you're coming on this journey. Doesn't matter if there's 3 of you. We're going to go. And, the community that's formed around Cowls is just, I didn't expect it to be as incredible as it has so early, because we've still got so much to come that we haven't revealed yet. But, it was trending nationally on reveal day, Bat Cowls on Twitter. I think it's the Snap Lens is still #1 in the Snap store. At least it was all last week and the week before. The amount of just positivity and sentiment, enthusiasm of this community. I know so much crazy stuff coming on this journey that we haven't told anybody yet. And still, the community is my favorite thing about this. I think everyone's going to be really excited, but just the people, just the characters who are part of Discord and part of the Twitter Spaces, it was just so amazing for us to see what an incredible community Cowls has already.
Yeah, community is so much of everything, and the total number of mints that are out there actually is quite low, considering being a Batman project, and probably because a lot of us didn't know who Palm Studios was. And once we learned, we're like, holy crap. It's kind of like, oh yeah, you're getting a car and you'll find out about your car and you get in it and you haven't really seen the outside and you're driving around and you're like, man, this sounds like a V12. Mm-hmm. You're driving around and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a Lamborghini. But like, it's kind of like happens so fast that and I'm really careful about what I cover to the audience, because I like things that'll go up in value. A lot of people are putting extra money in here because they want to do well. I can't give them financial advice, but what I can do is screen a lot of the projects that I bring on. I was seeing enough of what I liked that I covered it. Had I realized how good this was, I would have covered a lot more, right? And so it's like, shoot, that mint day is gone, but the resale market is opening up, and so some of the audience that didn't get a chance to participate, they can now start participating on the resale market when that opens up, and that's opening up fairly soon, right?
Yeah, May 31st.
Wow, 1 week. That's great.
Yeah, super excited. Yeah, so we're opening May 31st. You're going to be able to list your Cowls, Fandom NFTs, the Batman collection that we did with AMC for the movie. All of those will be there. You'll be able to list them. You'll be able to sell them. Cash out is coming a couple of weeks later. I don't want to give a defined date yet, but that's something that we needed to do just a couple of weeks out. So that'll be there, but it'll be there a few weeks later. It's really exciting. And for me, I just want to be able to being able to look at the whole collection and look at all the traits and rare stuff as well. Even if I'm not buying and selling stuff, that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I definitely won't be selling stuff yet. Like much further down the road. DrOfStuff had some questions about like the Cowls, and then there's like a screenshot taken, and then there's another thing that's been announced that's going to happen. DrOfStuff, do you want to ask about that?
Yeah, and we know that we're time sensitive, so we're going to try to rush through these questions and get some alpha out to the community, right? So you had talked about, or the team had talked about, hey, at Mint there's going to be a snapshot, right, of who the cow holders are, and there's going to be a second snapshot at some point in time to determine, okay, who's still holding their cows, and those people will get the Nightwatch NFT. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, can you tell us when that snapshot is? Or I'm just concerned for the people who, if the snapshot is taken after the marketplace opens, there might be people who sell their cowl, right? And then the person who buys that cowl was not the person who minted it. So they will not get the Nightwatch NFT, correct?
Yeah, neither person would get the Nightwatch NFT.
Okay, so we just want to clarify for our listeners here.
Yeah.
And can you tell us when that snapshot is, or is that secret still?
It's not a secret, but it is a surprise.
Okay. So that's just very important. If they don't announce before the marketplace opens when that snapshot is, if you end up selling your cow, you are missing out on that Nightwatch NFT, which would make those Nightwatch NFTs a little bit more rare, right? So that's important to think about.
These Nightwatch NFTs are going to have, they're going to be interesting pieces of the puzzle. These are going to be the only cows that we ever do. These might not be the only Nightwatch NFTs that we ever do, is what I can say. But this collection of Nightwatch NFTs, we won't be minting more of these, but there might be other components to the Nightwatch storyline and how we bring in a wider collection of fans into these communities, into the Nightwatch communities and districts as we go.
Because so when they did the DC event and you could get these things, and I got two, I was listening to you talk about some of the little like hints and everything that's going on in rolling out things. And you specifically made a strategic hire to tie things together as this world of NFTs is being created. Could you talk to the audience about your, about that position and what she's doing?
Yeah, so Caitlin Burns, our director of story, was really the person that conceived of the codes and what's the best way to sort of think about it? It's like an alternate reality game that sort of started with the fandom NFTs. It took a really long time for fans to notice those. And wait a second, what do these codes do? Wait a second, let's put them together. I think the first one was just before the holidays, like December last year. We had some people crack this in Discord. Before we'd announced Cowls at all, the first code had been cracked. But there were two other codes there. And fans only just cracked all three of those codes. And we still haven't told them exactly what they're for. But those codes are going to get you into something pretty special that's coming. And this mystery is far from over. Caitlin's brilliant. She's got an amazing writers team working with her here at Palm, and then working really collaboratively with Jim Lee and the writing team, the writers room at DC Comics. Very much between Palm and DC, we're sort of collaborating on a lot of the pieces of the puzzle here. Everything that's been done in terms of canon, DC canon, and the new Batcowl storyline, that's all happening on the DC side, as it should be, under the direction of Jim Lee. But in terms of augmenting that story and actually bringing that story out into the Web3 space and all the spaces that Cowl holders and other DC NFT holders exist, we're very much working on that on our side, under the guidance of Caitlin, really trying to bring this amazing, immersive, very narrative-driven experience to fans. It's a real key piece of why we think Cowl's going to be so awesome.
That's so cool. Just as you guys slowly reveal more and more, it just gets super exciting. I just had, again, I know that your time is short, just had two more questions real quick. There was some discussion around the discrepancy. So I'm definitely active in the Batcowl Discord, right? And one of the announcements talked about the number of Batcowl holders, right? So we know that they had minted 11,544, I believe is the number there. But if you go on Palm Explorer and look at the ID, it says that there are 2,381 holders.
Yep.
But the announcement on the Discord said that there was like 6,000 834 holders. So can you just clarify that, and which one is the correct one?
Yeah, the 6,000 number is the correct one. So Palm Explorer is run by a third party. It's a third party site. It's not owned or operated by Palm. We've told them, we figured out what the bug was, why it's only counting some of them and not all of them. Mm-hmm. We've put that bug report into them. Explorer does a bunch of things. It counts things on the Palm network. It counts things other places. They're aware of the problem. It's on their to-do list to fix. I can't tell you where on their to-do list it is to fix, whether it's priority number 1 or priority number 73. But yeah, it's one of those things, you know, Web3 is an ecosystem of things, and sometimes you're relying on third parties to do things. So we've let them know that bug's there, and hopefully it'll get fixed quickly. But 6,500, I can't remember the exact number, but that's the right number.
Okay, and then of the 11,500 that were minted, are any of those? I'm assuming some of those are from the team, right? That the team is holding some of those. Do we have a number? Can you share that number? Like, I don't know if that's a secret, or for like giveaways and other collaborations and things. How many of those Cowls that the team is holding?
Yeah, so Daz 3D that created the Cowls, they have 1,100 Cowls that they're holding, and they're going to be doing some really interesting things. Daz created some amazing projects. Daz 3D is a company that we partnered with on Cowls to actually create the Cowls. And Daz is responsible for the CloneX Artifact Murakami NFTs. Fungible people. We think they're the best in the business. And when we started on this journey with DC, I couldn't think of anybody that I'd rather work with in terms of how do you create the gold standard in terms of metaverse ready, beautiful objects that will do justice to an IP like Batman. And there was no other name on that list. It was Daz 3D or no one. So we were super excited to partner with them. As part of our deal with them, we promised them 1,100 Cowls. They have those Cowls. You're going to see some interesting things happen with some of the communities that they're part of, I think, in future. And the Cowls. And then we've got, I think, another 900 between DC and Palm. Some of those were friends and family given to people at Warner Brothers. A lot of them have just been reserved for giveaways and giving back to the community. That's the main use case. You've seen some competitions already, but you've just also seen some, you know, every week, sometimes multiple times a week, I will open Twitter and just see people doing amazing things for each other in the community. And I can't believe this community. It's so awesome.
They're doing so many cool things with these Cowls. I see that on Twitter all the time. I'm like, that is so cool. People with amazing art skills.
Yeah, and we just wanted to have some there to give people Cowls for doing all kinds of things, like whether it's, you know, we've had people helping out with bug fixes that we really appreciate. We've had people just, you know, putting so much time and effort into other community members' Cowls and making them awesome art. All right, well, we need to have some here to reward you. This is a 3-year journey. We want to have some that we've got in reserve, because people are going to keep doing awesome things.
Well, I'm gonna jump in real quick. I just have to give a shout out then. There is a Cowl community member, Edis Can, that he kind of added on, you know, did an extra layer onto my back Cowl, and has done that for several people in the community. So his Twitter handle is Edis Can. He's epic, and I've seen so many other people too, Mahalo Joe. So yeah, I had to shout out on this video some of those community members that have done that. Yeah, that's super exciting. And then one other quick question I have, is just regarding the potential for re-rolls. I know that's been a hot topic. I thought that we wanted to touch base on it, and I'm going to throw out my opinion. I wouldn't mind it, but I do, you know, some of the concern is that, like, okay, say that I think there's only 8 Batman Who Laugh Cowls out there, or around that number, right?
11.
Okay, 11, right? So, but if there's re-rolls, all of a sudden maybe 3 more people get those Cowls, you know, then that rarity is diminished, right? And they're concerned about that. So, but at the same time, I know that the team has talked about there's so much more that, because only 11,000 got minted, right? Of the materials and different things that didn't get shown that you guys would love to show, right? So, can you just touch on that real quick? And those will be all my questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been super transparent with the community about this, because I've seen people, you know, passionately argue both sides of this. And we don't have any kind of concrete plans on this at all. At Palm, it's just an idea that we've been talking about with the community, and I love building in public like that. I love being able to do that. I mean, I guess the one thing I'd say is we will never do anything to diminish the special nature of these cows that we created and the buyers who bought them, and listen to them first and foremost. Like, you know, we don't need to sell more cows. Right. That is just not something that we need or DC needs. In fact, we need to not sell more cows. We need these to be the absolute jewels in the crown of all the work that we're doing. Are we creating new NFT collections with DC? Absolutely. The thing we're building with DC is nft.dcuniverse.com. Back cows is one of the collections that will live on there. People who have a back cow will always have, you know, the highest level of VIP access to anything else going on there. But there's lots of other things going on there. There'll be more things that are very, very accessible, like Fandom, and there'll be some amazing, very, very low mint collections that will be less accessible and way more special, and everything in between. You know, there's a lot more characters. There's so many, you know, components of the universe infinite that we can explore and play with here. And that's the thing I think to watch with this is, yeah, back house is a multi-year journey. It's going to be super, super special, but we're bringing in more people. So that doesn't mean we need to make more back house. You know, it's DC Comics. We've got an literally infinite universe to play with. So we don't need to make more back house. There are some amazing materials. There's so much amazing stuff that went into them. I'd love to find a way to surface some of that work. Don't need to be rerolls of back house, right? You know, that's the simplest way to think about it. I don't think it's the right idea personally. Doesn't mean, you know, maybe we will find a way to do it that everybody loves. But if we do, we'll have that discussion with the community before we even think about actually kind of figuring out, could we do it or not? So yeah, there's more to come. We will find ways to surface all the awesome things that people didn't see yet, but we won't do it in a way that, you know, it diminishes the experience of owning a back house.
I wanted to ask a question that for those that are watching this that didn't participate in the back house, either they missed the episode where we covered it or they hadn't heard of it. Could you share about the utility of the back house? So if they missed it, they probably won't get the Night Watch NFT, but people are considering when the marketplace opens, do they want to buy one?
Yeah.
About the future utility of it so that they can make a value equation of whether, you know, they want to go ahead and buy one once the marketplace opens up, because there will be some sellers. There just always are.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that you're going to see new features, benefits, and fun added every 52 days. That's a special number in the DC universe. I'm sure you guys know that already, but that was a number we wanted to make sure we hit. So at least every 52 days, you're going to see new stuff. Some things we're just going to roll out when they're ready. Like when cash out for the marketplace is ready, we're not waiting 52 days. Like that needs to be rolled out ASAP for everybody. We're rolling that out. We will start to roll out some really interesting features. One of the first things you're going to see is the ability to start voting on the direction of the Bat Cowls origin story, which is going to be its own physical comic that you're going to see as part of the official DC canon, which is coming out later this year. So if you have a cowl, you can vote on the direction of the story in multiple ways. You'll be able to vote on characters, what happens to them, locations, a lot of different things. It's going to be a direct collaboration between Jim Lee, the team at DC, and cowl holders working together to create a story together. It's going to be as impactful and groundbreaking as Death in the Family was in 1988. This is DC Comics taking storytelling to Web3 in the most imaginative way possible. So that's the first thing that I think is really, really exciting. We've announced the Snap lenses, so you'll be able to wear your cowl in Snapchat, and you and only you, as the owner of that cowl, will have that lens. We worked with the team directly at Snap on this, and the team at Daz 3D to make this happen, to build a bridge between the DC platform and Snap, so you can actually wear your NFT in Snapchat. For us at PalmNFT Studio, when we talk about bringing the magic of Web3 to billions of people, this is how you do it. It's going to be about building bridges between Web3 and Web2. We are, I would say, less focused than other NFT companies or collections on, the focus for us is never, how do we create a JPEG and 3 weeks later that JPEG is worth more money and a bunch of people become millionaires. We don't care about that. We care about the experience. We care about the utility. We think the things that we create will be valuable to fans as experiences in terms of sentimental value. If they happen to be worth more financially, great. As a company, it's just not something we're focused on. We're focused on how do you keep someone engaged with an NFT? How do you give them the best possible fan experience of their life? So as a back Cowl holder, what that means is, as well as bespoke comics that you had a say in and worked on with Jim Lee, and unique, metaverse ready and Web2 ready versions of your Cowl that you can wear, you'll be able to get real world stuff as well. So there are exclusive apparel collections coming that we're working on with some really exciting collaborators that will be only for Cowl holders. There are real world events. If anybody's planning on attending or can attend NFT NYC, which is coming up, that's one of the first things we're looking at doing, some special stuff for Cowl holders that we haven't announced yet. So watch this space on that. And then, being able to participate in fan channels, being able to participate with the community and have experiences both in real life and online with the Cowl community that nobody else can participate in. Like, this is going to be the green room for DC fandom, for anything and everything that you can think about as having the VIP experience as a DC fan. Your Cowl is the key to all of that. So there's a bunch of really interesting stuff there. And then on the game mechanics side, I think that's the area you're going to see us pushing on the PalmNFT studio side. That's where we're going to be innovating the most. So the only game mechanic we've announced for Cowls so far is something called Overdrive. So the Overdrive, we gave away all of these discs for fandom, and everyone's like, why are they discs? Why do I have a floppy disk and a mini disc and a weird Nintendo cartridge from the future? What does this mean? And we didn't tell anyone. And I know that was infuriating for fans, and that was part of the fun. These discs will be compatible with something we're releasing called the Overdrive. So if you put your discs into the Overdrive, you can merge and burn them and combine them to get access to new NFTs that you won't be able to buy anywhere. The only way you'll be able to get those is by merging and burning certain combination of either fandom NFTs or other DC NFTs that will be minted on the Palm network. If you have a Cowl and you combine certain combinations of fandom or other DC NFTs, you're going to get even cooler NFT. So the Overdrive is kind of like the way we want people to think about the Overdrive is, think about it like my 4-year-old thinks about a drive or anything in my house. Like, if you can stick pizza into it, he will. Just try and stick things in there and see what happens. That's what's going to be fun with. We're going to be doing a ton of stuff with the Overdrive, and that's the first mechanic we've announced. There will be more. This is what we do as a company. This is why Microsoft led our last round. This is what we're building. This is how you make NFT. Like, how do you make a fan understand why Web3 is fun? And it's stuff like this. It's network-aware social objects that are just amazing to play around with and do things with. And they react not just to what you're doing, but what everybody in your community is doing together. Those are the types of things we're thinking about building in future.
Yeah, sounds like a fun, at least 2-year journey. It does say that this is a 2-year journey. Is that time frame final, or is it possibly just going to keep going and going?
2 years was just all we felt comfortable announcing at launch. We wanted to have the longest fan journey yet on an NFT project, and I think we delivered on that. But no, this is just what we felt we could say today. We didn't want to say too much. We didn't want to say anything that we weren't sure exactly how we might deliver on it, or it wasn't clear to us that we could. There's a 10-page document that I have on all the other things we could do, and I think there's probably a 100-page one at DC by now, based on, if you think about DC Comics, they've been working on their roadmap for 83 years. There's so many things you can plug into, real life, online, you know, the canon, the story, the history, all the ways that the fans can connect with DC as a brand and immerse themselves in that world. We are never going to run out of things to connect back Cowls to. It's going to be so fun. So yeah, it's at least 2 years.
Great. I think that really gives our audience a real good feel for the back Cowls as well as PalmNFT Studios. Is there anything else you can share with us at this time? Any exclusive leak you could provide?
I've definitely dropped a few little hints here that I don't think anybody's heard yet. So I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing else off the. I've already said too much. But you know, watch this space. There's a lot more coming. Next week's going to be a big week for us. You know, the Night Watch is coming. Watch out for that. It'll be sooner than you think. And yeah, just there's so much more to come.
Awesome. Really excited for this journey. I know a lot of my audience members are like, what the heck, looks fun, and they bought some. And what I have noticed, and DrOfStuff noticed, a lot of people that we know, they at least just got one, right? Because they're like, hey, we don't know if the value will do well, but we want part in this journey. So for those that don't have one, I think you're going to consider wanting to get one in the early days of the marketplace when somebody might just flip for liquidity. So great. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining us in the audience. Now, I do take a contrarian approach to investing. I also love NFTs and where this world of NFTs is going, and I think this is going to change video gaming. We're definitely seeing it with collectibles, and Matt just explained some of the things that DC Comics is doing through PalmNFT Studios. It's really exciting. If you haven't already, join the Rainmaker family. It's as easy as subscribing. And join us on this journey for the next 4 years. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Remember, no rain, no gain.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. Principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling the parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this road could soon become a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the games. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. They go with the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.